Hello, and welcome back to the Rebuild Recovery Podcast, where recovery isn't just about getting clean, it's about rebuilding a life that is worth staying clean for. My name is Hayden Thorn, and this is episode 3 of our series, The Rebuild Tools, Becoming the Man After Addiction. In episode 1, we talked about breaking out of the comfort zone, choosing growth over numbing, and leaning into discomfort that builds you. Episode 2, we hit the maze of resentment and how unforgiveness poisons recovery and why practicing active love sets you free. Now, today we're going to go after shame, self-doubt, and the constant need for approval. And we're going to talk about building our inner authority. Too many men in recovery are still trapped by the opinions of others. They're sober, but they're still living small because they're afraid of what people might think. They're afraid of being judged, and they're afraid of owning their own story. But recovery demands courage. Leadership demands presence, and your family, your kids, and your community don't need a man that hides in shame. They need a man who can stand tall, speak with conviction, and live from his own inner authority. So that's what we're building today. So why do so many of us live without inner authority? Well, it comes down to shame and fear. For years, addiction was our mask. We used to cover the fear of rejection, the fear of not being enough, and the fear of being exposed. Deep down, we all carried a shadow. That part of ourselves we didn't want anyone to see. It was the lies, the failures, and the broken promises. The things that we swore we'd never do, but we did. So what do? We hid. We built a false image. We lived from an outer authority, waiting for the approval of others. So think about it. How many times have you held back from speaking your truth because you were scared of looking stupid? How many times have you pretended to be okay when shit was breaking inside? How many times have you let other people's opinion dictate your choices instead of standing on what you know is right? That's the outer authority. It's living like a puppet, waiting for thumbs up from the crowd. It's giving your power away to people who don't live your life. And as long as you live from outer authority, you'll never be free. You'll never step into the man you were meant to be. You'll always be frozen and waiting for permission. So what is the inner authority? Well, it's the opposite of that. It's when you stop needing anyone else's validation and start living from your own convictions. Inner authority comes from owning your own story, not just the good parts, but the scars, the mess, and the failures. It's about being able to stand up and say, yep, I used, yes, I failed, yes, I hurt people, but I'm not that man anymore. And I refuse to live in the shame about it. Inner authority finds strength in your scars instead of weakness. It's about taking the shadow that you've been hiding in, bringing it into the light so it no longer controls you. When you have inner authority, you don't shrink in the presence of others anymore. You don't freeze when someone questions you, and you do not crumble when people judge you. You stand firm because your worth isn't up for debate anymore. And here's what matters. Recovery isn't just about abstaining from the substance. It's about rebuilding identity. It's about becoming. And you can't become the man you were meant to be by still hiding in the shadows. So why is it so hard for us to live like this? Because most of us built our entire lives around running from shame. Addiction wasn't just about getting high. It was about avoiding the feelings of not being enough. It was about silencing that voice that said you're a failure, you're broken, you're weak, and you're a bad person. So when we get sober, that addict voice doesn't just disappear. It follows us. We walk into meetings and feel like we're less than. We sit across from our partner and we feel unworthy. We look at our kids and we feel the weight of the damage that we may have caused. And when those feelings rise, most of us shrink. We go quiet, we hide, and we let other people's opinion become our truth. But here's the thing, fellas. Recovery isn't about hiding. It's about bringing everything into the light. Owning your voice and your story is no longer optional. It's essential because until you do, shame will keep running the show. And let me tell you how this played out for me. When I first speaking about my recovery journey, I was terrified. I thought, what if people judge me? Will they think less of me? And will I ever be trusted again? So I almost didn't share it. I almost kept my story private. But I realized something. If I kept hiding, I'd never be free. And if I kept it hidden, I'd never help anyone else recover. So I started speaking. And you know what happened? The very thing that I thought would bring me shame actually brought me freedom. Because when I stand in my truth, the shame loses its grip. I've worked with men who told me, Hayden, I will never tell my story. I will take it to the grave. But the moment they do speak it out loud, something then broke. They stood taller, their eyes cleared, and they felt freedom instead of fear. And that's having inner authority. It's not about bragging about what you've done or who you've done it with. It's about being absolutely honest about who you were, where you've been, and then refusing to be defined by it anymore. So we'll talk about the cost of not owning your voice. When you do stay silent, shame will grow. Relationships will suffer. You can't connect deeply with anyone if you're keeping secrets or pretending. Your leadership will die. No one will wants to follow a man who's hiding, and your recovery will stall. If you can't be honest, you'll stay sick. Silence is a cage. It looks safe, but it will suffocate you. Think about it. Your kids don't need a perfect dad. They just need someone who is there. Your wife does not need a flawless husband. She just needs a trustworthy one. And your brothers do not need a superhero. They just need a man who is real. And that's what inner authority gives you, the ability to show up fully without hiding. So the rebuild tool today is called Inner Authority. And this tool is about reclaiming strength that addiction once stole from you. The kind of strength that can't be faked or taken away. It's the strength that comes from being brutally honest with yourself, owning your story, and no longer needing anyone's permission to be who you are. And that's about integrity, the kind of inner power that comes from facing what's real instead of running from it. So here's how to build it. Confront the shadow. You need to stop running from the shame that still scares you. Face it head on. Write it down. Everything you hide, all the lies, the betrayals, the moments that still make you flinch. Then say them out loud, even if your voice shakes, and then declare it. I am no longer this man. This shadow no longer serves me. I am a man rebuilt. When you bring a shadow into the light, it fades away. You are no longer the shame that you carried. You are the man who faced it. Now, secondly, own your story. Your past doesn't heal by pretending it didn't happen. It did happen, so face it, speak it, and stop letting it own you. Tell the truth, because your story is your superpower. It's your comeback story. Start small. Start with someone you trust. Say the words you've never said out loud. Start small with someone you trust. Say the words that you've never said out loud. Every time you do that, you take a piece of your life back from shame, and that's recovery. Not hiding, but owning it. Speak from conviction. Don't stay quiet because you're afraid of what people might think. If it's going to help someone, if it's going to set you free, that's the moment you speak anyway. Speak your truth and say it without apology. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be real. Conviction isn't about being the loudest. It's about standing tall when shame tells you to shrink. And anchor yourself daily. Every day, the world will try and drag you back into self-doubt, comparison, old stories, and old pain. So you need something that keeps you grounded in who you're becoming. So pray, journal, sit in silence, move your body, do some service. Just do something that reconnects you with your purpose every single day. Your anchor isn't just a habit, it's your lifeline. It's the reminder that you don't answer to addiction anymore. That's the power of this tool. It's not something you master once and then move on. It's something you practice every single day. Because every time you face your shadow, instead of running from it, every time you tell your story honestly, every time you speak what's real, even when your voice shakes, that strengthens your inner authority. And that's when the noise fades, your shame breaks, and your true voice starts to rise. So the challenge for the week. This week, I want you to write down one part of your story that you've still been hiding. Something you're ashamed of, something you swore you'd never say out loud. Then share it with one safe person, a sponsor, a brother, a coach, just someone you trust, and then declare it. I am no longer this man. This shadow no longer serves me. I am a man rebuilt. And as you do it, notice how you feel. Notice how much lighter you get. And notice how standing in your truth gives you the energy instead of draining you. That's inner authority, and that's freedom. And that's inner authority, and that's freedom. Brothers, that's the episode done. Episode 1, we said comfort is death. Episode 2, we said resentment is poison. And now in episode 3, I'm telling you that silence is a cage. Comfort, resentment, silence. These are the traps that are keeping men stuck after addiction. But growth, release, and inner authority, these are the tools that will set you free. Your family doesn't need a perfect man. They need a man who is present, honest, and courageous. A man who owns his voice and his story. So stop hiding. Stop shrinking and stop waiting for permission. Stand up, speak, and lead. This has been episode 3 of the Rebuild Tools, Becoming the Man After Addiction. If this hit home for you, please share it with a brother who needs to hear it today. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, the Rebuild Recovery Podcast, and get ready for episode 4, where we're talking about the grateful flow, beating the black cloud. Until then, keep showing up, keep choosing growth, and keep rebuilding.